Hey, how's it going? So in this video, I am going to be discussing what are the key differences between the typical business development model that you find at home service companies, plumbers, HVAC roofing companies, etc., and the pmhoa.pro model. Stay tuned, this is going to be very, very interesting. Hi, my name is Raleigh from pmhoa.pro, and we help home service businesses build profitable and long-term relationships with local property management companies and HOAs. More information in the description below. So in this video, what I want to do is I want to talk about this very, very important question. What is the difference between the typical business development model that you find across all of home services and the model that we represent at pmhoa.pro? Now, when I say home services, of course, I include the gamut of all the way from painters, HVAC, plumbers, everything in between, because this is something I saw time and time again. I'm not going to go into too many details on my story, but essentially I've interviewed 300, 400 home service companies at this point, and if they have a certain revenue, they will always have this position filled, this person being business development, commercial sales. If the company is fairly small, usually I have found it to be within $0 to $18 million in revenue. This is just a very, very, this is an estimate here. But they don't have that position filled. They have internal salespeople working on a commission, inbound salespeople, but they don't necessarily have commercial outbound B2B salespeople until they hit a certain revenue stream. Now, here's the most important thing to keep in mind. I want to talk about what the differences are between the typical person that's hired and what we do at pmhoa.pro, because people say, well, a salesperson is a salesperson. What's kind of the difference between, what's the difference? I mean, sales is sales, right? And that's actually not true at all, because you have to keep this in mind. When you have inbound sales, that person's responsibility is to take incoming calls or people walking through the doors, and those leads are already paid for by the company. They spend the company money to run the ads on Google, run the ads on Facebook, Instagram, whatever it might be, for the purposes of getting that phone call, for getting that email coming in, someone knocking on the door wanting service, right? So the salesperson in that case is they typically work on commissions because of the fact that those leads are being provided to them. Now, when it comes to outbound sales, B2B sales, commercial development, business development, sales, you're talking about a whole different set of skills, all right? And what are those skills? It's very, very different. Let me show you what those skills are. Again, this is concerning what is the typical traditional business development model versus what we do at pmhoa.pro. Before I go into the efficiency of our process, I want to walk you through the steps here. So the first thing that's required is lead generation, right? If you hire someone to do business development for you, they're going to need to know how to find the key decision makers. In terms of property management companies, that could be owners, that could be maintenance coordinators, that could be maintenance supervisors, that could be individual property managers. It just really depends. You need to find someone who can not only identify who the customers are in your market, but then go down a level from there, find who the key decision makers are, go down another level, find their direct contact information, and know how to get in touch with them, right? So that's lead generation. The next thing that business development person has to know how to do is they need to know how to produce competitive advantages. And what I mean by that is every company knows that they have some type of competitive advantage. A lot of people use price as a competitive advantage. Others use quality. Whatever it is, the point is this. The business development person has to be able to take those concepts from the company itself and package it in a way for this very important customer, this very important commercial customer. I call that producing the competitive advantages. That's another skill set, as you can see. Next, they need to create a presentation. If you don't have a presentation for property management companies, HOAs, you're really missing a very, very important step in the sales process. But again, this is another skill set, right? They need to be able to create a presentation, PowerPoint, Google Slides. Additionally, They need to be able to create sales literature. What does that mean? Emails that need to be sent out, marketing materials that need to be sent out. They need to be fairly good at writing. If they're representing your business and you're going after more astute buyers, then you need to be able to reflect the professionalism, and that's going to come through sales literature. So this is a different skill set. Emailing. Well, people say, hey, Raleigh, look it's just email. What does that matter? Everyone knows how to send an email. That's true. But imagine if you're in a market where there's tons of property management companies, would you really want someone to be burning up all the company time just sending emails, following up with emails? That's a full-time job unless you have a strategy. If you don't have a strategy with regards to email, you'll be burning all your time just, getting on and trying to copy and paste emails. So this is something and plus another thing about email is the customer has to be able to open it. What's the use of sending all these emails that are just landing in spam folders or promotion sections? Telephone skills. A lot of people will open email, but a lot more will not reply back. That person the business development person needs to know how to get on the phone, handle objections, get past the gatekeeper if necessary, make the conversation cordial, right? And this is a skill set. Telephone skills, a lot of people run from the telephone these days, but it's absolutely critical that business development knows how to get on the phone and get an appointment over the phone. Presentation skills. Okay, you need to be able to make a presentation to a customer, property management company, HOA. This is another skill set, holding the customer's attention, conveying the culture of the company that you represent in a way that's captivating and that keeps their attention and that ultimately sells the service that you're trying to sell. Follow-up is the most important part. Every salesperson knows that. If you don't have an organized system of follow-up, let's say you have 1,000 property management contacts in your neck of the woods, right? Imagine following up with everyone without having an organized approach of doing that. It's nearly impossible. You'll be burning all your time. You won't get anything done. You won't make any strides in that capacity. So now you could see just by looking at these steps, right? And they all make sense, right? You need lead generation. You need to know what you're going to say. You need to have a presentation. You need to know how to write well. You need to know how to send out emails, get on the phone, make a presentation, and follow up with customers. These all make sense on the sales process. But here's what I want to really get at, and I know it took me a while to get to this part. But in traditional fashion, home service companies take all these very diverse skill sets and try to find one person to do all of that. This is what would be called the business development person. This is the traditional model of business development. It relies on a single person to do all these varied skill sets. And you could imagine someone who's good at lead generation might not be very good at, let's say, giving a presentation, right? They might have horrible presentation skills, but they might be excellent at finding all the leads at a company. They might be great on the phone, but they lack the technical prowess of doing emails efficiently, right? Yet, the model of business development for home services is to find one person to do all this. Very, very unlikely that you'll find one person to do all this. And I might add that one of the reasons why this person is so sought after, again, they usually are only found in companies that are doing pretty well, or at least can see the incredible value of property management companies, is because this person is paid the highest because of the fact of this diverse set of skills. You cannot hire anyone and expect them to be able to do all this stuff. If you hire the average inbound salesperson and tell them to do this, they're going to fail at this point in time, right here. They'll find a few, but they won't be able to really leave no stone unturned. It's impossible. It's a skill set. It's a different skill set that they have to bring to the table, right? So now, knowing that, you can see how this could potentially be inefficient. In fact, just going over it right now, it looks very inefficient. You can't have someone who's working on lead generation all day and expect that same person to be able to present where necessary as well. So this model is across the board at home service companies, and this is the model that us at pmhoa.pro have found to be extremely inefficient, especially in my own research, which I won't get into right now. But here's what we do. Instead of having one person to do all this, we have 8 people, sometimes 7, but mostly 8. We have, when we get started with the campaign, we have 8 people doing everything. We have our own lead generator. I do the strategy. I call myself the strategist. The designer, of course, a web designer, a presentation designer, copywriter, the icebreaker. This is actually better referred to as the setter. The setter. So they know how to send emails, they know how to get on the phone, and then the most important part of the process would be the presenter, someone that can give a presentation to the customer, and then that person doing follow-up as well. So you can see that just in terms of efficiency, looking at these 2 models, you're talking about one person who might be excellent at one thing, that's for sure. But when compared against an army of people, that's why I call what we do an assembly line, because frankly, the customer from their vantage point, they only care about one person, and really that's the presenter. I'll go into that in another video, but essentially, just looking at sheer efficiency, you can see 8 people doing separate tasks that they're all highly skilled at versus one person who may be very, very good at one of these skill sets is going to be lacking in others. It's just the way it is. That's why it's an individual versus an assembly line. The traditional business development model is certainly an individual only. Whereas we have come in and try to make the whole thing an assembly line. That's why it's lone wolf versus wolf pack. Their process, our process, you can kind of see what the initial differences would be. So if you like what you see, to learn more about what we do, there's a link below. We help all the types of home service companies out there. You get a free live demo if you click the link below. And once again, we're pmhoa.pro. Thank you for watching this video. Let me know if you have any questions.